Have you ever found yourself looking at your phone and wondering, who would I really call if I needed someone today? Not for help with groceries, not for a favor, just someone who'd sit and listen, someone who'd truly be there. You see, as we grow older, life has a quiet way of showing us what and who really matters. We might not notice it in our younger years, when life is bustling and friendships seem endless. There are co-workers to talk to, neighbors to wave at, relatives who call on holidays. But slowly, time does what time always does. It narrows the road, the crowd thins, and suddenly, it's not about how many names are in your contact list. It's about which ones still call you first. Today, I want to have a heart-to-heart with you about something we don't talk about enough. The kind of friendships that actually last when the noise fades and the days get quieter. Not the ones full of small talk or old memories that no longer feel alive, but the ones that still show up. The ones that comfort you just by being there. The ones that matter now, maybe even more than they ever did. There are many kinds of people who may walk through your life, but in the end, you'll probably only have 4 types of friends who truly stand by you when you need it most. And believe me, knowing who they are and being that kind of friend in return can change everything. Let's start with one of the most powerful and sadly rarest. Number 1, the friend who listens without judgment. Now, I want you to imagine sitting across from someone. No distractions. No TV humming in the background. No phone buzzing on the table. Just you, your thoughts, your voice, and their eyes locked on yours. They're not waiting for their turn to speak. They're not correcting your story. They're not offering advice you didn't ask for. They're just there, present, listening. Can you remember the last time that happened? Let me tell you a little story. A woman I know, let's call her Lily. She's 78 years old now, retired, lives in a small home not far from her daughter. She told me that most of her days feel like echoes. She speaks, but no one really hears her. Her grown children always seem to be in a rush. Her neighbors smile politely, but keep walking. At some point, she started talking less. Not because she had less to say, but because no one seemed to truly listen anymore. And then, one afternoon, she reconnected with a childhood friend named Carol. They hadn't spoken in decades, but over one simple cup of tea, Lily said she felt more seen than she had in years. Carol didn't interrupt. She didn't scroll her phone. She just listened with warmth, with patience, with presence. That small moment reminded Lily of something we all need to feel. That our stories still matter. That we still matter. You know, science backs this up too. Feeling truly heard, especially in later life, has been shown to lower blood pressure, reduce stress, and even boost cognitive health. But beyond the science, it just feels good, like a balm on a tired heart. And if you've ever had that kind of friend, you know exactly what I mean. They make you feel like your words are not just floating into the air, but actually landing somewhere, inside someone who cares. Now, let me gently ask you this. Are you that kind of friend too? Sometimes being listened to starts with being willing to listen, to put down the phone, to ask questions because you actually care about the answer, to let someone speak slowly, even if it takes a little longer to get to the point. That kind of presence, real, quiet, steady, is one of the most beautiful gifts we can offer each other, especially as the years pass and the noise of the world grows distant. And that brings me to the second kind of friend who truly matters as we age. Number 2, the friend who checks in consistently. There's something deeply comforting about knowing someone is thinking of you, not because it's your birthday or a holiday, or you've been ill, but just because. Because you matter to them, even when nothing big is going on. Let me introduce you to Richard. He's 73, widowed, lives alone now, after downsizing from a home full of children and noise and music. He keeps busy with crossword puzzles and daily walks, but the evenings, those get quiet. And that quiet at times feels heavier than it should. Then there's Tom, a friend he used to work with back in the day. Tom started calling every Sunday. No agenda, no big news, just a familiar voice checking in. Sometimes they talk for 5 minutes, sometimes for 30, but those calls, Richard says, they're now the part of the week he looks forward to most. It's not about the words, it's about the rhythm, the routine, the reassurance that you're still on someone's mind, that you haven't been forgotten in the shuffle. And here's the beautiful truth. You don't have to wait for someone to check on you. You can be that person too. Start small. Pick one day each week and call someone. Send a quick message. Show up in some small, kind way. It doesn't take much to make someone feel remembered. And if you've ever felt forgotten, you already know how powerful that little gesture can be. As we age, our world tends to shrink. People move, routines fade, and sometimes even the most cherished relationships fall silent. Not out of malice, just out of time. That's why the ones who reach out regularly, and without reason, stand out so clearly. They're like a soft light in the window on a dark evening, a reminder that we are still seen. When you think about the people in your life, who comes to mind first? I would too. Who always remembers to call? Who shows up even when there's no special occasion? Hold on to them, and just as importantly, become one of them. Because in the end, it's not the grand gestures that keep us going, it's the little ones. The ones that say you're still important to me, even when those words aren't spoken out loud. Number 3. The friend who shares your values and growth. And if no one comes to mind right away, that's okay. It's never too late to reconnect. Never too late to start being the kind of friend you've always wanted to have. You know, something shifts in our hearts as we get older. We stop craving crowds and big events, and instead, we begin to long for depth. Not just someone to chat with over coffee, but someone who gets us, who truly understands the life we're trying to live now. And that brings us to the third kind of friend you can truly rely on in this season of life, the friend who shares your values and growth. It's easy to assume that friendships are all about history, that the best friends are the ones who've known you the longest. But the truth is, sometimes the most powerful friendships are the ones that begin later in life, when two people realize they're walking the same inner path. Take Rose, for example. She's 81, a retired nurse who spent decades caring for others. She has plenty of people to say hello to. Fellow seniors at her book club, old co-workers she bumps into at the market. But she often felt something was missing. The conversations were pleasant, sure, but they never went beyond the surface. Until she met Maria. Maria was new to the community center, slightly younger, quiet, observant. One afternoon after a book discussion, the two women started talking about a chapter that stirred something in both of them. What began as a casual comment turned into a 2-hour conversation about purpose, loss, and faith. That day marked the beginning of a friendship that Rose says makes her soul feel seen. It wasn't because they had the same hobbies. It wasn't because they had similar life stories. It was because they both valued the same things: kindness, honesty, growth, resilience. Conversations with Maria didn't just fill time, they filled Rose's spirit. That's the kind of connection I'm talking about. One who doesn't just agree with you, but who aligns with you. They may challenge your thinking in gentle ways, but you always feel respected. You feel nourished, and most importantly, you feel understood. Not because of your past, but because of who you are becoming. Because even in your 60s, 70s, 80s, you're still growing, you're still evolving. And a friend who grows alongside you, that's a gift that keeps on giving. These friendships aren't about gossip or reliving the good old days. They're about asking the deeper questions, wondering aloud, sitting in the unknown without needing all the answers. That kind of friendship helps you reflect on who you are and who you still want to be. And there's something deeply encouraging in knowing that it's not too late to meet someone who feels like they've been in your heart all along. You may meet them through a shared activity at your place of worship or even online. Don't shy away from new connections just because you're older. Some of the richest relationships blossom in the later chapters of life, when we finally know ourselves well enough to recognize what really matters in another person. Number 4, the friend who shows up when things get tough. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about the 4th type of friend. And if you've ever faced a hard time, and I mean the real kind, the kind that rocks your world and leaves you feeling unsteady, you'll know exactly why this one matters so much. It's the friend who shows up when things get tough. This isn't the friend who only comes around for the good times, the laughs, the celebrations. This is the one who quietly appears when everyone else doesn't know what to say. The one who doesn't disappear when life gets messy. The one who brings soup when you're sick. Not because they were asked, but because they felt you needed them. Let me introduce you to a man named Henry. He's 84 now, and just 2 years ago, he lost his wife, Clara. They'd been married for over 5 decades. After the funeral, the house felt too quiet, too still. The phone stopped ringing. The doorbell didn't chime as much. People meant well, but most didn't know how to be there in the weeks after the loss. Except for one friend, George. George didn't ask Henry what he needed. He didn't say, "Call me if you want to talk." He just showed up. Sometimes with coffee, sometimes with silence, sometimes with nothing but his presence. And that, Henry says, is what saved him from falling into complete loneliness. These are the friends that don't need the spotlight. They aren't loud, but they are there. They sit beside you in the hospital waiting room. They help you fill out paperwork you can't face alone. They bring a chair next to yours when grief sits heavy on your chest. They don't try to fix you. They don't rush your sadness. They simply walk with you through it. And that kind of presence is more healing than most words ever could be. If you have someone like that in your life, hold on to them. Let them know how much they mean to you. And if you don't lose hope, because again, it's never too late to be that kind of friend for someone else. Often, the friendships we long for are the very ones we're meant to give. You may be surprised how quickly your quiet support becomes someone else's anchor. As the years go by, we all face things we never expected. Illness, loss, uncertainty. It's part of being human. But what makes those moments bearable, what gives them meaning, is having even just one person to walk beside us. You don't need 100 friends when you're hurting. You need one who answers the phone at midnight, one who shows up with groceries when you're too tired to cook, one who says, "You don't have to talk, I'll just sit with you." Those are the people worth keeping close. And, more importantly, those are the people worth being. There's something truly humbling about realizing that after all these years, the people who matter most aren't necessarily the ones we thought would still be around. Not the coworkers we saw every day for decades. Not the neighbors we waved to over the fence for years. Sometimes it's the quiet ones, the steady ones, the unexpected ones. And sometimes it's you. Because everything we've talked about so far, being a listener, checking in, sharing values, showing up through hard times, those aren't just qualities to look for in others. They're also qualities we can become ourselves. And if you've ever felt like your circle is smaller than it used to be, maybe that's not a sign that something is wrong. Maybe it's an invitation to go deeper, not wider. There's real beauty in having fewer but stronger bonds. One thoughtful call, one moment of sitting beside someone in silence, one honest, reflective conversation over tea. These things might not sound like much, but in a world that moves too fast and too loud, they're everything. Especially now. The truth is, growing older can be a beautiful season, but only if we tend to it like a garden. Friendships are a part of that. Some plants will wither, others won't bloom again. But some, with care and patience, grow stronger roots than we ever expected. And the wonderful part, you don't have to wait for someone else to initiate. You can be the first to reach out. You can be the one who listens without judgment. You can be the one who remembers to call, who opens the door without asking why, who says, "I've been thinking about you," just because you truly have. If you feel like your phone hasn't rung in a while, pick it up anyway. If someone crossed your mind, reach out. You don't need a reason. The reason is they matter. And yes, sometimes it can feel vulnerable. Sometimes it hurts to realize someone you once counted on has quietly slipped away. That's part of life too. But don't let that stop you from trying again. Because every season brings new chances for connection, if we're willing to be open to them. Think about the people who have stayed. Maybe just one or two. Maybe you're still waiting to find them. But think too about the person you've become with all your stories, all your wisdom, all your scars. You are so much more than you were decades ago. And there are people out there who need someone just like you. Friendship in this chapter of life isn't about parties or popularity. It's about presence. It's about saying, I see you, and I value you, even without using those exact words. It's about showing up when it matters most. And here's something else to remember. Just because someone isn't in your life anymore doesn't mean the door is forever closed. Some friendships can be rekindled. Sometimes people simply get lost in their own lives, just like we do. Don't be afraid to send that message, to say, I was just thinking of you, how have you been? You might be surprised by what blossoms again. As we wrap up this conversation, I want to leave you with something gentle but powerful. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. Your voice, your kindness, your attention, they still matter deeply. And you deserve friends who remind you of that. Friends who make you laugh on ordinary days, who sit with you through heavy ones, who grow with you, and who keep calling just to hear your voice. So today, I invite you to think about your own circle. Who has truly been there? Who brings you peace? Who makes your spirit feel lighter after a conversation? Reach out to them, let them know, and then ask yourself, who can I be that friend for? Because if each of us did just that, the world, your world, would feel a whole lot warmer. If you found comfort in this message, I'd love for you to leave a comment and share one thing that spoke to your heart. Maybe it was a memory. Maybe it was a person you suddenly thought of. Maybe it was the reminder that it's not too late to create the connections you long for. Your story matters here, and your presence does too. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell so you never miss a message like this one. It helps us keep making meaningful content for people just like you, who still believe in the power of real connection. Here's to a life with fewer but deeper friendships. The kind that hold you up, make you feel whole, and remind you that no matter your age, you are still deeply loved. Take care of yourself and of those rare few you call your true friends. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Most people don't lose friends because of arguments or betrayal. They lose them because of silence, because of time, because no one took the first step. And maybe that's why this message matters so much today. Not because you've forgotten what friendship feels like, but because deep down, you still believe in it. You still know that even at this stage in life, something as simple as a steady presence, a familiar voice, or a heartfelt I'm here can change everything. There's a quiet dignity in having just a few people you can count on. People who don't need reminders to check in. People who don't ask for explanations when you're quiet for a while. People who have seen your ups and downs and stayed, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. These are not just friends. They are life companions, soul witnesses, carriers of your story. And maybe you're wondering, but what if I've drifted too far? What if I'm starting from scratch? Let me ease your heart. It's never too late. Not to reconnect. Not to open up. Not to start again with someone who sees you for who you are today. Not who you were 10, 20, or 50 years ago. I've seen people form the deepest, most nourishing friendships in their 70s and beyond. I've seen strangers bond over shared grief in a waiting room. I've watched new neighbors turn into lifelong allies because one of them simply knocked on the door with a plate of cookies and a warm smile. And if no one's knocking on your door lately, Maybe today is the day you knock on theirs. Because here's the quiet truth no one says out loud. Most people are waiting for someone else to go first. Someone to break the silence, someone to say, I see you. I care. I'm here. That someone can be you. When you do that, even just once, you become a different kind of presence in this world. You become the friend that matters. Not because you're perfect, not because you always know the right words, but because you showed up. Sometimes, that's all we need. And if you're lucky enough to already have people like this in your life, people who pick up when you call, who sit beside you when words won't come, who remind you of who you are, don't wait to tell them how much they mean to you. Life moves quickly, and appreciation left unspoken is one of the saddest kinds of silence. Reach out, send the message, make the call. Remind them that they matter to you. Not someday, today. I know the world can feel like it's moving on without us sometimes. That the younger generation has their own pace, their own slang, their own priorities. But here's what they don't always realize. You have a kind of wisdom they haven't grown into yet. You understand what lasts, what counts, what truly fills a life. And when you share that, not only do you light someone else's way, you keep your own flame burning too. So yes, maybe we don't need a dozen friends anymore. Maybe all we need is four. 4 souls who listen, who reach out, who grow with us, who stand by our side when the storm comes. And if you only have 1 or 2 of those friends right now, that's more than enough. That's a blessing. Nurture it, protect it, and become it for someone else. Because at the end of the day, what stays with us isn't the number of cards we received or how many people came to our birthday party. What stays are the voices we still hear when the room goes quiet, the kindnesses that echo, the presence that never left. So if you're watching this right now, I want you to know, you are not alone. You are still loved. You still have time. Time to be a light. Time to reach out. Time to deepen the bonds that will carry you through the years ahead. Leave a comment below and tell me, who is that one person in your life that still shows up for you? And more importantly, who are you showing up for? If this video gave you comfort, clarity, or hope, please click that like button and subscribe. We have many more heart-to-heart conversations coming, and we'd be honored to have you with us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Here's to living the rest of your life surrounded by the kind of friendship that doesn't fade with time, but only grows deeper. Because you deserve that. We all do. Until next time, take good care of yourself and of those few rare hearts who make this journey worth walking.